Hello class, I'm back after a long time, and as we decided that we will now revise our curriculum because as you know that I have completed the syllabus. The first thing we are going to do is file handling because we have done file handling long time back and it is quite obvious that most of you have forgotten about it. Now, some of you are doing extremely well in my subject, right? I know that, and you understand things in a second. But I realize that there are some members in the class who are not understanding things, and maybe they are losing slowly the interest on this subject. Now, that should not happen. So this time I will go a little slow. Okay, so pay attention to what we are doing, right? File handling, there are three topics after the subtract this thing, the elimination has taken place from your syllabus. There are three files which we did earlier. We have to deal with it. Some modifications have taken place. When we reach that part, I will tell you. But basically, what we need to do is we need to do text file, we need to do binary file, and we need to do CSV file. These three files we need to do. Now, out of this, I will discuss only the text file today. Fine. Because I have noticed one thing in CBSE papers, a lot of text file questions are given. Because earlier, as you know, people could write answers in C++, and every year one text file question used to come. And sometimes these questions always repeat. It's a good practice. We do it. We will do binary file and we will do the other things, that is CSV file also. CSV is a new inclusion in your syllabus, but we will do a lot of questions on text file because there are a lot of questions available in CBSE papers, and we make sure that we finish all these questions. No matter that was given in the context of C++ or whatever, but we can always complete that. As a Python code writer also we can write it. Fine. Now, in the text file, if you remember the few process that first of all we have to open the file, we do the reading or writing or whatever we want to do on the file, and after that we close it back. These three are the basic steps we have to remember. Never ever leave a file without closing. Open the file, do whatever work you have to do, and then you close the file down. These are the three steps. We learned that. Now, when we open a file, what do you mean to say by opening a file? Okay. In our system, in our computer, in a particular drive, in a particular folder, if we want, we can create a file. Okay. We can create a file if we want to. A text file, I mean, I'm talking about. Now, when we create a text file, we need the help of something else. What is that something else? That something else is called file object. Why that file object is required, that part I will discuss in my next video. Okay, that I will discuss separately. But remember, always a file object is required. Okay, and whatever instructions you will give to the disk file, that has to be given through the file object. So imagine this is my program. In my program, there is a file object F, and this is my computer. Fine. This is my desktop computer or whatever. In this computer, in the C drive, I have a file. I wanted to create a file, something, say abc.txt. Fine. So what I have to do is I will always, as a programmer, I will instruct my file object. File object will connect to him. Okay. So at first, whether we want to read things from a file, we write onto a file. First important thing is make a connection between this file object and the disk file, the file which you want to create. That is the first step. And how it is done? It is done two ways. If you remember, one is by using the open function. Say I took file object name as F. Okay, we call it file object. We write the open function, and then we write wherever the file is located. Wherever I want to say, I want to create a file. Okay, so I want to create a file. So I said that this is my file object. You connect to a disk file. So where is the disk file? The disk file, say I wanted to create in my E drive. Okay, in the E drive, say I took a folder called data. I created a folder already called data. And under that, I wanted that abc.txt. That file is to create. Fine. Now you remember this thing that we use always double slash to mean. Actually, when you write in DOS environment, when you specify the directories and the subdirectories, if you want to mean a particular directory within another directory, we always write like this. Okay, it is written like this. Fine, data slash whatever. Now, this single slash will not work here because slash already has a meaning in Python. You learned that in class 11. That is called escape sequence, right? So, because of the escape sequence, a single slash if we write, then the meaning will not be conveyed properly. That is why you need to write double slash. And here, after this, we write the opening mode. I wanted to write onto a file, so my opening mode will be W. That is how we open a file. And if we want to say, for example, read onto a file, read from a file, then this opening mode will be R in place of this W. Okay. You read the notes also, which I sent you earlier. That will help you. Fine. I'm just discussing quickly so that I can straight away come down to the problems. And another opening mode, if you remember, is A. A is for appending. That means a file already there in your disk, or in your wherever the location is mentioned, and you want to write it again by intentionally or by mistake, whatever it is, you have given the same name. So what will happen if you already have a file called abc.txt? That file will be completely erased, and the new contents will be written onto it. But if we want to add something, I already have some data and I want to add more data into it. That is called appending. In that case, opening mode will be A in place of W. Otherwise, if you want to read from it, it will be R. And if we do not mention anything, for example, if we do not mention any opening mode, okay, by default, remember, it means opening mode is reading. That means I want to read. That's why I did not mention any opening mode. Apart from these three, there are few other opening modes also. If you remember, we had W plus, okay, R plus, and A plus. W plus means uh, W plus means it will write onto the file, and plus signifies that if you want, you can read from the file also at the same time. Okay. This kind of case I will discuss towards the end because normally programs in your level may not come involving such complex things. There are a lot more interesting things to be given in the paper. If you write R plus, then what will happen? First of all, R reading mode means file already there. You wrote the file, or maybe some content is already there in the file. So if the file is not there, imagine I wrote abc.txt, I'm claiming the file is there, but the file is actually not there only. In that case, it will show you error straight away. Fine. And if it is, if you're writing R plus, that means you want to read from the file, and also this plus signifies you can write also at the same time. This topic also we will discuss later. And append A plus means, appending means to add something with the existing data. So if you write plus, that means you will be able to read also. Plus signifies here reading. There is another way you can open the thing, that is done by with. There is a statement called with. I do not know whether you remember this. With open, you can write the same thing once again. Okay, E double slash data. Data is my folder under E drive, abc.txt, and I wanted to read from it, so I wrote R. Okay, you'll write the whole thing. There is no space here, so I'm writing here as F. So it is the same thing basically. Look at this. Here, how do you write it? With open, within open function, you write whatever you wrote here as F. As F means as the file object. Now, in this case, what you have to do, all the things which you are going to do will come like this. It will be a block statement. Like it, under if you write multiple statement. So after opening the file, whatever you want to do, all have to be in the same, starting from the same column. They will be like a block, right? But one difference between these two kinds of opening is that if you open it this way, then you have to close the file. Okay? And if you want to open it this way, if you open it this way, then the closing is automatic. Right? then you might say that this is always a better method, but it's not that. Sometimes opening of this kind is required because you need to write programs sometimes in a very structured manner. Okay. Another small thing I forgot to tell you, that instead of this double slash, there is another way to do it. You can write a single slash also, provided you write the letter R. If you write the letter R at the beginning, that means before writing the double quotes, if you write the letter R, that means this is to be treated as a raw string. A raw string means where the meaning of slash is a slash. It is not an escape sequence. That is what it means. Okay. It simply means that wherever the slash is written, you treat it as a single slash. That is the separator between the directories. It has got nothing to do with the escape sequence. So these all are the basics. Okay. Now I will come to my next video where I will tell you how basically we read and write things. Okay.